she sees him in his horrific farmer's tan.
Yeah, I also love that. All the memes where it's just this like crazy ass.
Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, dude, the levels of swamp ass on your face for 50 years of wearing a mask.
Yeah,
I'm
like
assuming it's like skin tight and like I guess well, I would expect it in actual I know it's magic, whatever. But like in actuality, like has he not been able to like itch under there? You know, is there no pencil sticking up like a cast and
no,
you're itching
yeah,
your eye, or is he
yeah,
just like so itchy all the
yeah.
time?
Welcome back to the Book Breathing Bitch Queens podcast. I'm Sam.
And I'm Allie. And this episode we are in the last chapter. Chapter 46. We wake up and we are now Fae. Yeah, lots of really interesting things. Obviously, it's the last chapter, so we get, you know, the aftermath of everything. We get some interaction between us and Tamlin. I don't know why I'm saying us. Between Feyre and Tamlin. And some of those moments, and of course the iconic meeting on the balcony in the middle of the night slash no sorry in the middle of the day,
Yep.
which they think is the middle of the night, with Rhys, and that whole conversation, and then finally ends with heading back through the tunnels the way she came, and ending looking over the spring court with Tamlin, and the last moments of thinking, let's not think about all the shit that happened and let's just go home. But lots of really interesting moments in this chapter, and it's obviously very iconic, for obvious reasons. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um so our first scene is part of my theory.
Okay, let's hear it.
This is the drop.
Yeah, so we mentioned this in the last episode a little bit,
Yeah.
right? That we think like, so what does the ordeal start before we talk about the drop? But like,
Mhm.
where does the ordeal, if this lines up, where does the ordeal start? Is it just the last trial, or is it specifically when she's being like tortured?
I think it could be it. I think it could be like the trials together, but it could really be
Okay.
the last trial.
Okay,
Could
so
be
like just
any of those, but
since she came
I think it
in.
yeah, I think it could be Under the Mountain could be her ordeal.
Okay.
Um and but this is so droppy. It's very drop. So in Crescent City, the veneer, right? The immortals basically are don't have their immortality until after they make the drop. And the drop is them like barreling down into their power to see how much they have. And then once they barrel down, they have 6 minutes to come back to life because their mortal body dies.
What about the 6 minutes?
Yes, their mortal body dies. And so they have 6 minutes to basically resuscitate themselves. And then they're born into their true, full powered self, however much power that was. And to do this, you have to have an anchor because the anchor has to help you come back as yourself. So you can barrel down as far as you want to, but the anchor is there to pull you out of death. So Bryce does this and she uses Danica as her anchor. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she like barrels down and she barrels way super, super, super deep. And she goes past Rune's marks and like 1 decimal past her father. And her dad's like, don't be so smug, you boy, because Declan's tracking it. And he's like, she may try to go down as far as she wants, but like she really only has a nugget of power and she still has to come back up. And she lays dead for like 5 minutes and 57 seconds. And then she shoots like an arrow back up. And it says that there's a red line that shoots straight up and she's going super, super fast. And then she finally slows and is like 1 decimal higher than her dad or some shit, right? And that that gates are opening and closing as she's doing this, that she's pulling all of this power from these gates and she's closing off these gates, and that her drop is powering up her her the trumpet bullshit in her back, like all kinds of craziness. Also, so the power that Bryce gets is not her own. So she gets it from the gate, right? The one that everyone keeps putting like a little bit of first light into. She pulls all of that magic.
Is that because that's what you're always supposed to do with a drop, or did she just because she
No,
didn't mean to do it,
I don't know,
that's
but
what happened?
you're supposed to tunnel into your own magic, hit where your level is, and then come back up, and
Yeah,
that's what you get. But
because hers is
she,
like an emergency type,
yes.
right?
Um, Bryce's face crumbled as she lurched to her feet, sprinting to the gate, the thing that they keep putting their hands on, right? She didn't
Mhm.
care how it was possible, as Danica said again, light it up. Then Bryce was laughing and sobbing and as she screamed, light it up, Danica, light it up, light it up, light it up. Bryce slammed her palm into the bronze disc of the gate, and soul to soul with her friend whom she had not forgotten, the friend who had not forgotten her, even in death, Bryce made the drop. Stunned silence filled the conference room as Bryce plunged into her power. Declan Emmett didn't look up from the feed monitored. It isn't possible, the Autumn King said. Declan was inclined to agree. Sabine murmured, Danica had a small kernel of energy left, the Under King said. A bit of self that remained. A little bit like the tiny little bit that the
Like,
king used.
yes.
Can a dead soul even serve as an anchor? Queen Hypatia said. No, Jessica replied, with all the finality of the Underking's emissaries. No, it can't. Silence rippled through the room as they realized what they were witnessing: an untethered solo drop, utter free fall. Free fall. Bryce might as well have leapt from a cliff and hoped to land safely. Declan drew his eyes from the video feed and scanned the graph on one of his three computers, the one charting Bryce's drop, courtesy of the illusion system. Eleusian, whatever. She approached her power level, barely a blip past zero on the scale. Hypatia peered over her shoulder to study the graph. She's not slowing, though. Declan squinted at the screen. She's gaining speed. He shook his head. But but she's classified as low level, near negligible if he was going to be a dick about it. Hypatia said quietly, but the gate is not. Sabine demanded, what do you mean? Hypatia whispered, I don't think it's a memorial plaque on that gate. The witch pointed to the sign mounted on the glowing quartz, the bronze stark against the iridescent stone. The power shall always belong to those who give their lives to the city. Bryce dropped further into her power past the normal, respectable levels. Queen Hypatia said, the plaque is a blessing. Declan's breathing was uneven as he murmured, the power of the gates, the power given over by every soul who has ever touched it, every soul who has handed over a drop of their magic. He tried and failed to calculate just how many people, over how many centuries, had touched the gates in the city, had handed over the drop of their power like a coin tossed into a fountain, made a wish on the drop of yielded power. People of every house, every race, millions and millions of drops of power fueled by this solo drop. Bryce passed level after level. The Autumn King's face went pale. Look at the gates. Shit gets crazy. Right? Lights flowed down the ley lines between the gates, connecting them all together that formed a perfect six-pointed star. Light met light met light met light until the city was ringed with it, until every street was glowing, and Bryce was still making the drop. It was joy and life and death and pain and song and silence. Bryce tumbled into power, and power tumbled into her, and she didn't care, she didn't care, she didn't care, because it was Danica falling with her, Danica laughing with her as their souls twinned. She was here, she was here, she was here. Bryce plunged into the golden light and song at the heart of the universe. Danica let out a howl of joy, and Bryce echoed it. Danica was here. It was enough. She's passing everybody's levels, yada, yada. Um, she's shutting gates as she's going. The
Me.
voids between the world became a sliver, then nothing at all. The gates stood empty. The portal's gone. Bryce stopped at last. Declan studied the precise number of her power. It was one decimal above the Autumn King, and then the Autumn King's like, she's still got to come back. And then there's a bunch of bullshit conversation that's all heartfelt and shit between her and Danica that I don't want to read. The timer on Bryce's life slowed to 2 minutes left. Her dead body laid sprawled on the stone beside the faint glowing gate. Everyone is super nervous. Everyone's talking some shit. So the clock stops at 0.003, A red line shot across the bottom of the Luzan system graph along their runway towards oblivion. Declan whispered, "She's running." She had made the drop solo, but she was not alone. She was never alone. Danica's there, yada yada. She's having to like literally crawl herself back up. She was sea and sky and stone and blood and wings and earth and stars and darkness and light and bone and flame.
Sounds like all the courts.
Danica was gone. She had given over what remained of her soul, her power to get Bryce off the runway and for that initial rocketing ascent. It had not destroyed Bryce to make the final goodbye. The roar that it emitted, blah, blah, blah. Bryce barreled higher. She could feel the surface nearby, a thin veil between this place and life. Her power shifted, dancing between forms and gifts. She thrust upward with a push of a mighty tail, twisted and rose with a sweep of vast wings. She was all things and yet herself. And then she heard it, his voice, an answering challenge to her call. There he was, waiting for her, fighting to keep her heart going because Hunt is giving her CPR. And then she wakes up.
Wow. I forgot that stuff about the
Mm-hmm.
wings and all things and none. Like, that is interesting.
Yeah. So that was a very long way to say that that's what the, the drop is in Crescent City. And then we have everything was black and warm and thick, inky but bordered with gold. I was swimming, kicking for the surface, where Tamlin was waiting, where life was waiting, up and up, frantic for air. The gold light grew, and the darkness became like sparkling wine, easier to swim through, the bubbles fizzing around me, and I gasped. Air flooded my throat. I was lying on the cold floor. She realized it, right? All the things. So this is the drop. She's made the drop. And part of the drop is that your mortal body dies and you come back with your full power, right? Or you come back as your immortal self. Feyre has died. Her immortal body has died.
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
know who else's immortal body dies when she falls through gates?
Aelin?
Aelin made the drop. And her
Ooh.
anchor is Rowan. Because
Oh, yeah.
I got quotes for that
Okay.
too. Aelin plunged through world after world after world. Too fast, she would hit her own world too fast and miss it completely, but she would not slow, could not stop, tumbling, flipping over herself. She passed through them one by one by one by one. It was the strength of this that matters. Wherever you go, Aelin, no matter how far, this will lead you home. Aelin roared, a spark of self flashing through the sky. The tether grew stronger, tighter, reeling her in. Too fast, she had to slow. The plummet was the last of her. She plummeted into the last of herself.
Yeah, that really sounds like it.
Into what remained, grappling for any sort of power to slow her racing. She passed through worlds where great cities had been built along the curve of a river. This is where we see Rhysand and Feyre. Well, so this, I think this is Crescent City, by the way.
The curve of the river is Crescent City.
Yeah, she passed through a world where there was a great, or sorry,
Yeah,
yes.
because the Crescent City is like a crescent river.
Yeah, she passed through a world where a great city had been built along the curve of a river, the buildings impossibly tall and glimmering with lights. Passed through a world of rain and green and wind, roaring, she slowed down. Sorry, trying to slow down. She passed through a world of oceans with no land to be seen. Close. Home was so close, she could nearly smell the pine and snow. That's not home. That's Rowan,
That's
but okay.
Rowan.
She passed through the world of snow-capped mountains under shining stars, passed over one of those mountains where a winged male stood behind a heavily pregnant female gazing out over the stars. Fae. They were Fae, but not of her world. She flung out a hand as if she might signal them, as if they might somehow help her when she was nothing but an invisible speck of power. A winged male, beautiful beyond reason, snapped his head towards her and arched as she arched across the starry night. He lifted a hand as if in greeting. A blast of dark power like a gentle summer night slammed into her, not to attack, but to slow her down. A wall, a shield that tore and plunged through. But it did slow her. That winged male's power slowed her just enough. Aelin vanished from the world without a whisper, and there it was. There it was, the pine and snow and snaking spine of the mountains. Blah, 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 home. And Aelin plunged back into her own body. And that's when she says that there would be no more shifting, that her mortal body died and she would be stuck in her Fae form forever. all 3 of our girlies have made the drop.
Yeah, dude. Yes, I
That's
love that.
that's my theory. They've all made the drop. This is all drop stuff.
Mhm. But if the thing is, if this is the drop, then Feyre was always gonna
Yes.
settle, and she was
Yes.
always gonna be Fae.
Yes.
And also that makes me wonder, like, okay, so do all Fae have magic? Yeah or no in ACOTAR?
Yes.
Okay, because what I was gonna say is like, if she was Fae and she was already gonna do something, and that's why it's the drop, um, which of the powers are the High Lords and which are hers? And but maybe like this is like how the first Fae was made. Was that like it's just actually
Or
like she wasn't a Fae, but this is like the only way to like I don't know. I don't know.
well,
Sorry.
because Bryce is basically human until she makes the drop.
But she is half Fae actually like by birth for
Yes, yeah,
sure.
by birth, by blood, sure, but not by power. She doesn't have any power before she makes the
True.
drop. And so maybe that's part of
Mm.
the way that it works, right? I mean, if we're talking about different worlds, then like things can
They could
work
be
slightly
different, yeah.
differently. Or even if it's like an evolution of that,
True.
right? Like,
Yes.
evolutionary, like if we're talking about vast amounts of times, if there's a millennia between them, then who knows? Maybe there's ways in which that, because they say that the shifters in Crescent City are descendants from shifters in a different world.
Hmm.
And so that, you take, I mean, I don't know, I'm getting all sciencey on you, but like, you take a group of animals and you put them in a new place and you look at them 1,000 years later, they're going to have evolved slightly
Hmm.
differently. And
Yeah.
so maybe it's just like the slight evolutionary changes between the two. But theoretically, witches in Crescent City also have to make the drop. So this doesn't rule out, and maybe witches in ACOTAR, because we don't see a witch population, maybe
Yeah.
they have to make the drop. Because
Well, and
witches
I
in and of themselves don't have power.
yeah.
They
I
could
mean,
fly.
technically, according to ACOTAR definition, Feyre is a witch because she takes power that wasn't inherently hers, even though it was given to her.
Well, but that's
But
the thing.
she,
I think if it's given, it's different.
so you think it's about
And
stealing?
what if, what if her power, just hang in because this is way out there and would totally fuck up my Rhys theory. What if she's Haviliard line and she has raw magic, and that's why when she gets the High Lord's magics, it can
She can
manifest
do
into
it
anything.
all.
And then
Mm.
Nameless would still be in play. Because if she's Haviliard, then she is also still nameless.
Mm. Yeah.
All I know is all these bitches made the drop.
I
It
can also
sounds,
see her just being Starborn as her original power, and
yep,
then the rest of the High Lord's
yep.
powers are hers.
But then Aelin also has, I think that Aelin's ordeal would be when she was captured by Maeve.
Does how close the ordeal need to
I
be
don't think
to
it
make
has to be,
sense?
I mean, it's still close enough. She kind of like, I mean, or when she used all of her power to save Annie L
Yeah,
or whatever it was, like that could be her ordeal where she gave up
that's
all,
true.
because she, like, all of that she was saving for Maeve.
Yeah, she tunneled down it, yeah.
And she sacrificed that and tunneled all the way down to save the city.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
Yeah, these bitches all made the drop.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the swimming stuff also because in the very last Crescent City book, there's also a swimming scene that's
Also,
like it's like this.
they also take power that is not theirs to make this drop. Bryce takes power from all of
The
those people who
gate.
gave first light to that gate. Aelin was given power by Mala,
Mhm.
and Feyre is given power from the High Lords.
And all of it's described as like drops or kernels of power or like
Yep.
it's very
Yep.
similar,
Yes.
language
And
around it.
Aelin's tether is absolutely Rowan.
And they all do say tether too, right?
Yes, they do.
Because well, no, Danica is an anchor, but do they? I guess to anchor and tether are close enough. I
Yeah.
think. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Um,
It was very exciting reading this. I was like, that's a fucking drop. And then I
yeah,
got a little crazy and started reading Kingdom of Ash again and was like, this is still the drop.
yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
like
I
literally they
forgot about the
fall. Like and
gates.
she literally falls through worlds. Like she's dropping at a speed that is unprecedented, just like
Yeah.
Bryce shoots up at a speed that's unprecedented.
Hmm. That's interesting.
And I get that it is on a computer screen, but it is a red line that shoots up when Bryce does it. And if you go back through, I think Silver Flame, when you see the ACOTAR perspective of Aelin's shit, she's a red comet across the sky.
Yeah. Interesting.
Also, you know that he heard all of those thoughts in her head. When
She was
she
dead?
when she passed over, Rhys heard Aelin saying, I need to slow, I need to slow.
Oh.
So when
Yeah, he
he
probably
sees
said
her again in book 6, he's gonna be like, I know you. I recognize you. You my little you my little
oh,
comet friend.
you're gonna get the fans riled. They're gonna be so mad.
Uh-huh. You're those stars that splattered into our fucking faces. Could you imagine if it's just a bunch of other people making the drop and that's what Starfall is?
I have thought about like
Yeah.
yeah. That's so interesting. Um yeah,
Anywho,
well,
back to the last chapter.
but yeah. Well, we were talking about the last chapter, but
Mm.
yeah. Uh first thing she notices is besides the air is the cold floor.
Mhm.
Feels very anticlimactic in a way. I mean, it's kind of like we're just slowly reintegrating, but I don't know. That's a choice to.
This always reads very Twilight to me. The moment when Bella becomes a vampire and she like opens her eyes and she's like, I can see the dust particles. And like
Oh,
when Feyre's like, I had
oh, she
never
looks at the
noticed how,
chandelier.
yeah, she's like, I never noticed how intricate the crystals were or how the hushed gasps of the crowd echoed off of them. Like her senses are like crazy. I could
Yeah,
not, I would be so fucking overstimulated as a Fae. I'm overstimulated
yeah.
now. I couldn't imagine. I'd be like, oh my God, no, please stop.
Like I can hear everything. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. The chandelier is interesting, and
I have a question about this.
mhm. Oh
So
yes,
I gleamed with a strange light.
yes. What is that?
Uh,
That's
So
High
so
Lady.
so that's what I wrote. I said, "Is this high lady or is this like drop light?" Right?
Just
Because like Bryce glows, Aelin glows, right?
do they?
Yeah, they do. Well,
Oh,
there's light. They emit light, right? Like Aelin's falling and she's shining
like
in the
after
sky
they're
like a
done,
I
because
think
that's what.
so. Yes, I think so.
Okay.
I think Bryce has a she talks about a golden light. But anyway, so
Hmm.
I'm like, is this part of the drop? Or is this high lady fucking aura
Because
that's happening right?
nobody else does, right?
Only we know that the High Lords glow, or at least Tamlin
But
glows.
why doesn't anyone else notice that? Or maybe because she has given from all the High Lords, that's
Yeah.
they're like, yeah, she's
And
made,
healing power,
It's
like
weird.
maybe they're like, yeah, magic always glows. Like we healed her. But that's the other thing that first light can heal or destroy. Says
I
that
have no
first
memory of that.
Yeah, that first light can power up all the machines and shit of the city and the government and blah blah blah, but also can heal or destroy. It can make or destroy.
Make or unmake. Yeah.
Hmm.
That is interesting. Yeah, but yeah, the glow, I was like, there it is.
Also, she knows very quickly what has happened to her.
Yeah, she basically just went and she feels strong.
Yeah, and her fingers are longer, and she's like, "I'm Faye." How do you know that, girl? How did you not like what happened to me? Am I alive? What's going on? Why do I feel different? She immediately knows what she is. That's wild. And like, okay, she's been hanging
Yeah.
out in with High Fae for a few months, maybe, but like, if I didn't think something was possible, and all of a sudden I wake up in this fucking crazy, super Pilatesed out body, I'm not gonna be like, what? Oh, I'm just High Fae. I'm gonna be like, what did you do? What happened to me?
So funny. Yeah. I mean, I actually never really thought about that, how quick it was, because to me, I just was like, no, no, it's because this is one of those iconic moments that's been written
Yeah.
since like the first,
Although as a human
books.
to wake up and feel strong and not and strong and sleek and fast, I'd be like, oh, something happened.
Yeah,
That
true.
is not me.
Like
I
this
got
is
I
not.
got I got like Ariana Grande fingers and I feel sleek and strong. Something went down.
Um, I also was thinking, it's funny that her first, so she realizes she sees chandelier, cold floor, she's taking in things, she feels strong, she realizes, and then the first thing after that is I went ridges as I sensed Tamlin standing behind me. Um, and there's something about, I mean, there are other parts where it's when her and Rhys lock eyes and they go rigid type of thing. So maybe it's just like whatever. But I don't know. It just seemed it's like it kind of was like a weird sort of tension. Um, but she's smelling him. It's just more. It is just more evidence of her
I also
ness.
I thought it was really interesting that like when she becomes high fae, she's not like fuck yeah. Like her initial thought is like what had they done?
Yeah, I know
Like
that could read like,
there's like
"What did
a
you do to me?" and also like, "Whoa, how'd you do this?" Like, I don't really know
yeah.
which one it's supposed to read as.
Like there could be an awe, like what in the world? How
I
is this
think
possible? But it also reads a little bit like, oh God, what did they do?
yeah.
There's a little like either one of those readings could work.
I think it's meant to be like an open kind of
Yeah.
reading, because it's just so strange. And then, the first thing Tamlin says is, "It was the only way I could save you." This is his first words after she's just been revived,
Yeah.
and I don't know why
Always trying to
that
save
was
your ass,
interesting to me.
Tamlin. Always worried about yourself. Have
I
you
didn't
ever
mean
seen
to.
it?
It's not my fault.
We had no other choice. We did everything we could.
Yeah,
It's like very medical almost.
yeah, not very romantic in a
No.
romance book. And then we see Amarantha below Claire's body. Appropriate.
Have you have you seen the meme of Beauty and the Beast when she finally sees him in his human form? Okay. So
Maybe.
there's like it's like they always compare it to this moment when she like turns around and she sees him without the mask off, and like then they show like when Belle sees Beast for the first time and she's like, because like it's kind of a letdown. And they're like, "This is what happened." She's like, Really? No, you're exactly how I dreamed you would be." But yeah,
Yeah.
I always think about that meme. I'll send it to you when I find it. But yeah, it's very funny.
I also kind of think it's weird how much emphasis there is on the mask thing. It makes it kind of feel like the whole book has been about I want to see what's under
Yeah,
that mask, but she just kind of wondered about it like once or twice.
yeah,
It was like I feel like it should just not be one of these final moment things, like in such a grandiose way, or it should have been more integrated in like
hmm
why that mask is so strange. Like I don't know. But there was something
yeah.
that
She
just
should have
feels
tugged
off
on it a few
about.
more times. She only tugs on it once,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
she could have said like, "I wish I could see you without it," or
Or
something,
just internal
or
thoughts,
internal
just of
thoughts.
being
Yeah,
like,
what I
that
would give to,
why
yeah,
did that mask bother me so much? I think
yeah,
it does sort of she does say that a couple like, but it's just not like it's this is the penultimate, this is the moment. This is the end
yeah,
of the and we're like this big reveal. I don't know. There's something that just felt it might be better if there had been like an embrace and be like, "I love you," and I'm so glad you're alive. And then later she's like, "I wasn't used to his face yet," like that kind of
yeah.
thing where it's still like a thing, but it's not like that much of a thing. But I don't know. There's something interesting about that. Is that the mask being the central thing? Because also, when they first realized in the last chapter that the curse is broken, the first instead of just like lunging for Amarantha, we see this close up of Lucian taking his mask off, and I was like,
Yeah.
it feels like there's some kind of like okay, we're trying to do the symbolism and because it just felt kind of weird for that to be such a big deal. So then I'm like,
Mhm.
well, is it just symbolism of like now we can be ourselves, or is it going to have a greater tie into the whole series and be like
Yeah.
more of a larger symbol? Which I tend to think with a first book in a series, the last books are going to tie back into those first books, or they
Yeah.
often do. So it makes me wonder about the symbol
Maybe
of
we'll
masks or things like that.
actually see Tamlin's mask come off in the final books.
Maybe.
Because he's in his beast form right now, right? He just hangs out in his beast form. He's wearing a certain mask. I underlined where she feels his heartbeat. I didn't say anything about it. I'm just making a note that he does in fact have a heartbeat now.
Yep.
Um,
Which is interesting because everyone, the Elaine theory about feel your heartbeat through the stone. It's not stone anymore, but maybe
yeah.
she's seeing back to the past, or maybe it doesn't have anything to do with Tamlin. Um,
I mean, or she is
uh,
quite literally in a cast in the house of wind that's
of
made out of
stone. Yeah,
stone, and there's a
yeah,
wall separating her and Lucian, and
yeah.
she can hear his heart through the stone.
True. Although that's not a really super normal mate
No.
thing. Yeah. So there's something so interesting about that. My note was she sees him in his horrific farmer's tan.
Yeah, I also love that. All the memes where it's just this like crazy ass.
Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, dude, the levels of swamp ass on your face for 50 years of wearing a mask.
Yeah,
I'm
like
assuming it's like skin tight and like
yeah.
I guess
Or
well,
like
I would expect it in actual I know it's magic, whatever. But like in actuality, like has he not been able to like itch under there? Is there no pencil sticking up like a cast and
no,
you're itching
yeah,
your eye, or is he
yeah,
just like so itchy all the
yeah.
time?
And then I want to
Um,
know like how far down does it come? Does he have like a really fucked up like beard growing underneath it? But like he only
yeah.
can shave this
Well,
part, and so this is all just like like man in the iron mask hair that's just like grown up over his.
or like just okay, that much like if you just anytime you sweat, you can't wipe your face off.
Yeah.
So
Blech.
50 years of fungus sweat. No, I mean it's probably
Well,
just
and
the answer is probably just magic.
even if you're yeah, but even if you're washing your face, like water gets into it, like gross. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Ew.
think I just keep thinking I never had a cast, but I know like friends who had casts and they were just like
I
it
never
was
did
so
either.
fucking gross when they got it taken off and I'm like, yeah, don't kiss his face, bud. Don't do it. Although
Yeah.
I guess you
Eh,
can magic that away real quick, just like all of the blood on her hands.
Yeah, it still just seems crazy though. Like they are somewhat affected by physical things, but
Yeah.
maybe he's regularly like magic clean under there real quick. Like
Yeah.
maybe he's just
Yeah.
got some fucking whatever.
And it's a magic
But
mask, so whatever. Maybe it actually serves as like a skin.
yeah, but then I always sort of imagine. Is this what my brain does? Is that when he rips it off, it's like it pulls some of his skin because it's like melded with his skin over 50 years.
Fun, yeah.
Ugh, ugh. Anyway,
Gross.
so hopefully he doesn't look like he's got like a flayed raccoon situation going
I'm
on.
sure, yeah, I'm sure he does. Sure they all have like the snorkel lines. He has
Snorkel.
snorkel lines.
Anyway, I think the answer is just, it's
He spends
magic.
the next 2 months in
Mm.
spring court, like the old school tanning where they took the
They're just sitting there, towels on all parts of their body except for that part of their
or
face.
he has the like the old school where they would take the like reflective thing and sit with it underneath
Yes.
him. And that's what he's doing. He's like on the roof of the manor, sunbathing his face to even him and Lucian are just crisping up out there, putting baby
Like,
oil around their fucking eyeballs
can
and
you still see
shit.
the line? Can you see the line still?
Don't. You gotta put the sunblock here and then the baby oil here. Don't fuck it up, Lucian. It's like, we got this really cool thing in the mortal realm. It's called Banana Boat. Got some copper tone for you, Tamlin. We'll help you out here. It's fine.
Someone has written that comic strip at some point. Um, that's funny. Anyway, sorry, I just couldn't help myself, could I? Um,
I made it.
and
I made a note of the Ator and the nastier fairies had disappeared instantly, along with Lucian's brothers, which was a clever move, as Lucian wasn't the only fairy with a score to settle. Who else has a score to settle with these boys? Does
I,
she?
I
Is
don't know.
Tamlin?
I
She doesn't
assume
think.
that everyone just kind of was like, "You guys suck," and that's what they mean. That is interesting. I mean, I also noted that, but I just wasn't. I was like, what's up? Also, and Rhys is gone. I thought Rhys said he stayed and talked with people, but it says that he's gone. Maybe she just doesn't see where he is. He's like talking in the shadows to people or something.
Yeah. That or he stayed under the mountain, just not there because, you know, he's giving them their time to do their shit.
Yeah.
Then I said, so then there had been meetings in a frenzied throne room, quick, tense meetings with the High Lords Tamlin had allied with to sort out next steps. And I wrote, what are the next steps and who are which High Lords allied with him?
I'm assuming summer, autumn.
Maybe not Autumn. The boys left right away. So maybe Baron did too.
True, although they're kind of historic allies, but you're right. I don't know. Who's not siding with Tamlin at this point? It's not like he
I mean, just
hasn't really
read.
done anything wrong.
Yeah. And like, what are they meeting for? Like, hey, go back to your shit and take over your realms again? Like, what do you mean next steps?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. Hmm.
I
I
mean,
don't
I
know.
guess it was to like destroy the throne room because they do that. Although I have a question about that when we get to it, but they do destroy the throne room.
Yeah, and the
Um,
whole court. Yeah.
but that's part of my question is what does that
Mm.
mean? Did they just kill a bunch of people?
No, they took them all out. They said she says that we were the last to leave when they do that.
Yeah, but okay, we'll get there.
Okay.
Um, so then he takes her to this room, right on and on until every newly heightened sense was chafing and raw. And Tamlin at last noticed my dull eyes, my silence, and took my arm. He escorted me through the labyrinth of tunnels and hallways until we found a quiet bedroom in a distant wing of the court. And I said, "Is this his bedroom that he's been in this whole time?"
Probably.
Fucking little shit. Um,
Tamlin does finally notice her though. He's like, "That girl's overstimulated. Let's go."
yeah, right. Let me handle my business, please, love. Okay, thanks. You're a doll. Just hang tight for a minute.
It is weird. Like you would think like he'd be like, "Okay, let's guys, I'll talk to you later. That we got a newly resurrected savior, curse breaker
Yeah, yeah.
to take care of. I'll chat in a
Or
couple hours
or
once I get her
maybe
off to bed."
say, favor, do you want to say anything?
Yeah.
Do you
Well,
have
he
any?
would never.
That's what I'm saying. Do you have any
Mhm.
words that you would like to share with the masses?
Yeah.
Give her a second to own her voice. No, no. I'm just gonna let her stand in the corner and go until
Although to
I.
be fair, I think she would hate that. She probably does not want to put on the spot because she's all just like, "I killed those people."
Well, yeah,
That's all
yeah.
she's
I mean,
thinking right now.
that's fine.
But
Um,
um,
she's hollow inside. um, Had he been human, he might have been in his late 20s, but he wasn't human, and neither was I. I wasn't sure whether that was a happy thought or not.
mhm. I like how it's the first time she's thought about his age.
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Yeah, it's interesting to have like an ending feel so dejected and bittersweet, which I guess is like the point, you know. And not every ending should be happy, but it is interesting. It is interesting how like actually like fucked up she already feels.
But this is what kind of irritates me about Tamlin in this, and I feel like I kind of got this feeling when I first read this, and it's like even louder. And I'm a big old fucking Tamlin hater, so here we go.
Hmm.
But
Okay.
like, so she comes back, and like, yeah, he like kisses her and says, "Turn around and look at me, look at me, look at me." Right? Still all about him.
That was interesting though. That's the
Then
first.
then immediately is like, hold on, babe, I gotta do some High Lord shit. So you just stay there and breathe for me, and I'll come back. And he does his High Lord shit, and then he grabs her and he takes her to a room. And then basically the first thing he concerns himself with is her bargain.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, technically. Okay, actually, really quick. What? Why does it say he's attending to her wounds? She has a new body. I thought she doesn't have wounds. She says in the very first part that she doesn't have any broken bones or anything. So I'm
Yeah.
like, what's? I don't
Yeah,
know.
it says
Maybe
like
that's just a
there's
oversight.
a few remaining wounds, it says. I sat on the
That's
edge of the bed, and while I'd thought being an immortal meant a higher pain threshold and faster healing, I winced a good deal as Tamlin inspected my few remaining wounds, then healed them.
okay. So maybe the new body isn't that new. Like
Yeah.
okay, all right. But yeah. So yeah, I thought it was weird too.
I
Like
mean,
the
okay,
first.
he does say, "How can I ever repay you?" And then she
Yes.
says, "You don't need to." And then he immediately is like, "We'll take care of this bargain. Don't worry about it."
Well, it's like he actually tries to like held my face in his hands, leaning close, but then released me and grasped my left arm. Like he's like he was gonna be like intimate for a second and like maybe like do some kissing, some fucking, and that gets in the way.
Hey, that sorry, if I didn't have children, that would be your ringtone on my phone. Some
Do some
kissing,
kissing,
some fucking.
some fucking. Ringtones don't exist anymore, babe.
I know they don't, but it would
Dead.
be.
Just kidding.
I know I'm so old. But yeah, that would be what it is, or like that's what I would. Whenever I would like initiate kissing and fucking with my husband, I'll just play that. I'd be like, hey babe, do
Play
you
my
want
voice
some?
to your
In
husband
your
saying
voice? I'd be like, hey babe, do you want some kissing, some fucking?
yeah. Yeah. But
Oh geez, the things we gotta cut out of this podcast, man.
Ooh, I um okay, but yeah, so Reese is essentially cock blocking her um because Amon's like, "Oh, let's kiss," and then he's like, "Wait," and it
Mm-hmm.
gets away. And I just thought it was funny because it's like probably the first moment where they're like, alone and they're maybe and
Mm-hmm.
they do after, but it's like it gets in the way. He lets it get in the way. She's not drawing attention to it. He's like, letting his stupid ass
Yeah. And she's
he's doing
immediately like, I don't want to talk about it. Do you know she doesn't want to talk to him about any of it? But the
yeah.
second she's with Reese, she's like, maybe
She
it's because
wants
we
to
were.
talk about it.
Yeah, she's like, only because we're like, just because no one else can hear me right now. Your mate can hear you, the person that you're supposed to be pouring your heart out to. But yeah, like, she did all this for 400 pages for Tamlin, and she's like, I can't talk about it. I can't feel it. I don't want to. I'm not now. Please leave it alone. We'll deal with this later. And the second she gets on that balcony with Rhys, she's just like, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very classic.
And she distracts herself with sex with him.
Wait. She distracts She
Herself.
distracts from her mental pain.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. No, and that's like the classic like this is, sorry, speaking about story structure like as it's working on to be writers. What am I
Yeah,
trying to say?
we're
As
working on to be
aspiring
writers.
writers,
I would love to be
you
a
know,
working on to be writer.
yeah. Um but from a writing perspective, this moment is supposed to um I've listened to so many Gina Denny videos about narrative structure that I just can hear her voice in my head. But this is the moment where we establish the new normal and set up the next book if it's like this.
Yeah.
And that that idea that she is always she says in the next book, I think like Tamlin and I were always good at the physical and
Yeah.
not the emotional. It's like, okay, here it is. It's very clearly set up
Yep.
exactly. And a lot of things are like that too, which are my favorite things to notice. So I'll bring up some more. But yeah, that is what her trend is going to be, is like, let's not talk about it. Um and
He fire imagery is used for him a lot in this chapter. And by a lot, I mean two, but it's a short chapter. But fire imagery is used with him a lot.
yeah. Well, fire imagery is used a lot with sex in general, I think. I'm trying to think of how it is. But yes. Um they later, yeah. Where is that fire line?
Um, he let out a low
Oh.
growl. The sound of it sent wildfire blazing through me, wildfire specifically. And then
Mhm.
later, that last line of that paragraph, I gave myself to that fire to him as his hands roved across me and unbuttoned as he went.
Mhm.
And then there's another point, I think, on the next page that
Let
talks
it
about
race through
fire as
the
well.
wave of black that was starting to press around me.
Yep.
I guess that's just like, sadness. I gave myself to that fire to him.
There is a sentence in here that I don't like, that I don't feel like is intimacy. And I think that it feels kind of gross to me. And this could be my own trauma, but
Yeah.
she's talking about. So I'm starting on 411 at the bottom, and I'll go to the next page.
Mhm.
His ragged breath was the only sound, and his hands soon began roaming across my back, my sides, caressing and teasing and bearing me to him. When uh, when my traveling fingers reached his mouth, he bit down on one, sucking it into his mouth. It didn't hurt, but the bite was hard enough for me to meet his eyes, to realize that he was done waiting, and so was I. I'm really glad that she put the "and so am I," because my man, my my dude, she just went through the most horrific ordeal of her fucking life. She's literally died and come back as something completely fucking foreign to her.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, Hey, so I'm done waiting for that ass. What? Like,
To be fair, I don't think it's meant to be read like that. I think
neither do
it's
I.
meant to
And
be
again,
like,
that's why I said
we've been,
this could be
yeah,
my own shit. Fine. But like, you know what, Tamlin? You know what you get to do with your all patient sitting on that fucking throne ass? You can wait another minute till I'm ready. That's what you can do. You can
hmm
keep your fucking mouth shut like you have for the last 4 months, and you can keep it together until I get my head right. Thank you. That he wouldn't
yeah.
wait, that he was done waiting. Bitch, you wait as long as I need you to wait. For
Yeah,
me.
I mean,
Thank
I think
you.
the impression, what that line reflects back to me is like, oh, I've been waiting in my jail cell all this
What?
time, and I fought all this, and all this was so that we could be together, and let's be together. So I think that's like the baseline reading, but it
Again,
is like
I did not get that
kind
I
of
didn't
gives
get
the
that the
vibe.
first read through. I
Yeah,
know that I'm being a fucking ass right now, but like the reading it again just hit me in a way that I was like, no, Tamlin, you can wait. Like, chill
yeah.
out.
The
This
so
seems a
was I
little
does really help it.
it just a yeah, yeah, it does. Because if it didn't say, and so was I would have been like, oh, you bitch. But yeah, no, I get it. Like, but yeah, this is grief sex. And I get like that's a thing, that's a trope. It happens in a lot of different things, right? There's plenty of movies and shows that have that, like, I feel terrible, just make me feel better, like make me feel
Hmm
good, whatever. But that's not the kind of sex you want in a romantasy, right? Like you want the like super passion, all only
Well, maybe
meal for
sometimes,
sure.
but yeah,
And like we
it's
get
weird
that
as
with
an
her and
ending.
Rhys do that, right? Like there's a
Mhm.
battle and she like bangs them in the tent while people are dying around her
People
and
are
stuff.
mad about that scene.
I
People
know
hate
they
that
are.
scene.
I know they are.
Ah,
And I get, you're just like when everything else feels like it's lost and broken and whatever, and you're missing somebody, you're like, yeah, and I want to feel something good. Um, but it's like he should be on his fucking knees worshiping her right now.
mhm.
Like he should be
Yeah.
saying something, anything, any kind lovely words, right? Like he says
Mhm.
nothing. He just gets right to it.
Yeah, they really don't talk.
Yeah, there's no words of affirmation. There's no I mean, there's only the one, how can I ever thank you? And she's like, you don't need to. No, he should be thanking you. Or at least I don't know. Anyways, it just
Yeah.
was like looking back on it now and being like, "Oh, that's lame sex." Which I guess is good because then she gets the really good stuff in the next book. Um,
Yeah.
oh, and then this is the fire line again that
Mm.
but I gave myself again to that fire, threw myself into him and let myself burn.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, which is Fire and Tamlin.
Mhm.
Very Aelin vibes. I did also want to note on I missed it on 410. I thought it was interesting when he goes to speak to her, and he says Feyre, and she's like, it's a very like, it's like she's like surprised to be talked to, right? She says, he says Feyre, and then she's like thinking about what she's done in the killing, and then she says, what is it? And then my voice was quiet, hollow. I should try to sound more cheerful for him, for what had just happened, but, and then it go on, but
Yeah.
that line, I should try to sound more cheerful for him, that's a crazy insane. I don't even think that's a Tamlin problem. That's like a favorite problem. Like, what are you
Yeah.
talking about? I mean, it's also, I think it's meant to be a, a depression filter. Like, you are so upset and kind of like disoriented by your own like shame and grief that you're like not thinking. But it was just, there was
It
something weird
also
about that.
it also gives the vibe of like again, just,
She
disregard me
has
if
to
I'm
appear a
sounding
certain way
crazy.
to him.
Well, that or like she's having to manage his emotions. Like it sounds like the
Mhm.
kids who had to manage their parents' emotions.
Yes.
And so then the ways in which they function in their adult relationships mirrors that, and where she's like, "Oh, I should sound cheerful because I don't because he's volatile, right? He has anger issues. He can
Mhm.
explode into a puff of fucking fur and claws, and he's done it before and he will do it again." And so she's like, I should sound more cheerful. I should make him happy. I
Yeah.
should And she's worried about his emotions when she is literally falling apart, and he's
hmm
just like, "You good?"
Yeah.
You okay?" And I think that, and maybe it's just, maybe I'm hard on him in ways that are unfair, right? Maybe
Hmm.
he also just, like, his upbringing didn't allow him to. I mean, we know he's not
Definitely. I think
emotionally
for sure it
available.
didn't.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he's not really emotionally available. So, like, maybe this is just part of his ineptitude, that he just can't reach in and be like,
Yeah.
"Tell me what you need." But this would be the point, to just hug her and be like, "I'm here." He doesn't have to say, like, "What do you need? What do you need to do?" Whatever, but,
Hmm.
like, I'm here and we will get through this. Like, I'm here, and when you're ready, I'm willing to listen to all of it, and you are my partner,
Hmm.
but he doesn't do
But that's
that.
very intimate
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
that's true.
and to be fair, I don't think she's afraid there. I don't think she is. I think maybe she's subconsciously the way that people are just trained to manage emotions doing that. I don't think she's actually fearful there. I think she's feeling guilty for feeling bad when she's feels like she should be happy because they did it. But
Yeah.
it still is all those traces are there
Or
regardless. Yeah.
she's not willing to be vulnerable with Tamlin. And so that's
No,
why she's like,
definitely.
I should be more cheerful so that he doesn't
Uh,
know that I'm fucked up inside, because I don't want to show this to him, because this is a dark, twisty place and I don't want him to see it. But then again,
yeah.
2 seconds into a conversation with Rhys and she bears her fucking brokenness to him.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just had to note that part.
I do love this very little I mean, it's not subtle now at all, but it was very subtle. It was wonderful foreshadowing. So on page 412 now, after the break, I was pulled from sleep by something tugging at my middle, a thread deep inside.
Hmm.
Not her arm, her middle.
Yeah.
I was like, that's a
Yeah, oh,
fucking,
true. It would be from the arm if he was just pulling it from the
yep.
bargain.
Nope, he is pulling
Um,
on that mate bond, and she knows exactly where he is. She knows exactly how to find him.
yeah, she just walks and is like, "Yeah, he's around here somewhere."
Also, do you notice that Tamlin already sleeps perfectly fucking soundly?
Yes, which also doesn't it say that he also has nightmares later? But
Yeah.
maybe it's just right now
And
he doesn't
yeah,
have them
like,
or
maybe he can be so exhausted, but, like, it's
yeah.
already like,
It's a contrast.
she already can't sleep. She
Yes.
already can't is restful. She's already afraid to close her eyes. And right, I left Tamlin sleeping in bed, his body heavy with exhaustion. In a few hours, we'd be leaving under the mountain and returning home. I didn't want to wake him sooner than I had to. I prayed I would ever get to sleep that peacefully again.
Yeah. She already is
He's
contrasting the two of them and
he's
being like
sleeping.
he's fine.
He's sleeping peacefully.
Yeah.
Nothing has bothered him. He's great. Which we know is probably not the truth, right? But
Well, yeah,
like,
we know he does have problems, but
yeah.
yeah. Um, yeah, I knew who summoned me.
I make a note of the description of the mountain when she goes outside, right? So once she's
Yes.
able to see again, a land of violet, snow capped mountains greeted me, but the rock of this mountain was brown and bare. Not even a blade of grass or a crystal of ice gleamed on it. It is a bald
Mhm.
mountain that the snow doesn't even touch.
Not yeah,
Like,
that's
that's
like
crazy. All the
yeah.
mountains around are snow capped, but this one, the snow doesn't touch.
Mhm. And this is like the sacred mountain and Ramiel's another sacred mountain, but this was like their big one.
Yeah.
Um and he's just out there when she sees him, he's just got his wings out. It's kind of interesting.
When she asks him why, he knew what I meant and shrugged, because when the legends get written, I didn't want to be remembered for standing on the sidelines. I want my future offspring to know that I was there and that I fought against her at the end, even if it didn't do anything useful. I blinked, this time not from the brightness of the sun. And I wrote, like, is she surprised or is she seeing something more right now?
Both. I think she's like tearing up because she's like finds it compelling or beautiful or but yeah, I mean, I don't maybe she doesn't give surprise actually. And it seems like she gets him and
Mm-hmm.
she all, for obvious reason. Um but
Well, because we know that this is the moment when he realizes that it's his mate, right? Or will be very shortly. And so I'm wondering, like, what it is that she's blinking against. Like, is there some sort of mate bond thing happening? Is this just like where she's seeing the truth of him in a way that she hadn't before, or maybe she's just tearing up. Maybe she's like trying to blink away some tears right now because she's
Oh no,
like,
I think it's definitely tears. I just
okay.
thought you were asking in addition to tears.
Oh, got
I
it.
think she's definitely tearing up, and that's what that's supposed to indicate. Sorry, I misunderstood your question
Yeah,
at
that's
first.
fine.
Um, I will say, the part right before this, I thought it was interesting how she is the one who reminds him of the bargain.
Hmm.
He's like, "You're gonna be whisked away forever," and she's like, "Not forever."
Yeah.
You can
And then
definitely read that like,
his respond is
"Please
like,
save me."
yeah, his respond is, how could I forget? Like
And I
he
think that's where I think he's surprised because it says, "Not forever," I said, wiggling my tattooed fingers for him to see. "Don't you get a week every month?" Those words thankfully came out frosty, so she's being sassy. But more just she's just so comfortable with him always. She's no
Mhm.
problem. Like she doesn't care if he thinks that she's a bitch, whereas
Yeah.
she's constantly thinking about how Tamlin perceives her. Um, and then Reese smiled slightly, his wings rustling and then settling. I feel like that's like a not forever. And then he's like, oh, like kind of like a slight smile because he doesn't want to like give it itself away, and also doesn't is like, wait, what? And then the wings settling. That's what gives me like the surprise. It's like he's like,
Yeah, I don't think he was
okay,
ever gonna call in the bargain.
I don't think so.
I
I
think
think
at this
he,
point he was like, I won't call in that bargain. I'll just never, it's fine. I'll let her
yeah,
go off and do her thing. She did what she needed to do. And the I will give her that gift of never calling in that bargain.
yeah, because he doesn't. The only thing that makes him call it in is when she
She freaks
is
out.
like, somebody please,
Yeah.
and so, but even this is like, he's like, oh, she kind of she's wanting to stick to it,
Yeah.
um, and so I read that as a surprise. Specifically, there's something about the wings rustling and then settling that makes it's like he's like shifting his body to like hide his surprise type of thing. I
Yeah.
don't. There's something about that that just struck me. But I did think it was interesting. It's like she at every turn is like sort of pursuing him. She just doesn't like. So she hides it in frostiness, right? But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just
I think he puts out a feeler here to see how she'll react, and when she doesn't is interesting. So when on that same page after she says he says all of his stuff, and then uh she says thank you. Thank you, I said, my throat tight. Rhysand flashed a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. I doubt you'll be saying that to me when I take you to the night court. I didn't bother to reply and just returned towards the view of the mountains, right? And so, like, I feel like he's kind of throwing it out there a little bit. Like, you know, when you like make one of those like kind of side snarky, it could be a sarcastic comment, but you're also kind of trying to see how some like your gauge a vibe. And so I think that that's
yeah.
where he's like, I'm like, I doubt you'll be saying that when I take you. And he's like, how is she going to react to this right now? Is she going to be like, am I going to feel fear coming off of her? Is there going to be hatred off of her? And she's just
Hmm.
she's not afraid of him. She's not afraid of going to the night court. You
No.
know, and so I think that he's kind of like, oh, maybe I could take her for
Hmm.
a week, you know, like, I don't know. It just seems like that, like, when you like joke about like, I don't know, like,
Maybe
oh,
we
you
should
could,
kiss. And then
yeah, or
they're
like,
like,
oh,
yes,
I'm not cute. You could never find me cute. And then people are like, what are you talking about? You're pretty. And you're like, oh, okay.
yes. That's so
Okay.
like
Like,
18-year-old flirt.
yeah, that's what this feels like though.
It's funny. Yeah, no, yeah. Um, and yeah, she doesn't even. She kind of almost doesn't even notice it. She's like, "Yeah, okay, I could go to the night court." And then she's like, she wants to keep the conversation going. She's like,
Yes.
"Tell me about. Are you gonna fly home?"
Yeah.
That is like some small talk, nothing question. That
Yeah.
she's just like, she just wants to talk to him.
Hmm.
Sorry, what were you saying?
They are wildly vulnerable with each other.
Yes, yeah. Sorry, we. I feel like
Wildly vulnerable.
okay, I was just gonna say, we kind of didn't talk about the early parts of their conversation, but like it, I just was noticing like it's easy conversation, it's sort of small talky, and it just I always get the impression that Feyre is just trying to keep him talking. Like she's like, well, I mean, if you ever like when kind of like when you like someone and you don't want to admit it, you're like, you just kind of are like keep asking them questions. Like it's just
Yeah.
very classic I don't know. It's
Like, they're
funny
all
that it's so subtle, but
but it's also easy, right? It's not like she's
yeah.
trying to fill in all of the moments of silence
No, she
because she's
can't help
okay.
herself.
Yeah, and but she, like, wants to keep him there a little bit longer and
Yeah, she's, like,
opens
making
up, and, like,
questions.
the ways in which she completely clams up with Tamlin, she's, like, leaning and viewing and listening to him and
Mhm.
confiding in him, and, like, this is, like, if nothing else, this is a friendship moment. I think that's one of the things that I love about the Rhys and Feyre story arc is that there is such a, like, level of friendship embedded into their story, and I remember when I was reading this last chapter the first time I read the books around, and I was like, "Oh, this, like," one, when we get to the moment where he, like, is stunned and step back and all that stuff, like, I know how to read foreshadowing, and that's a pretty big one. It's, like, not even it's, it's kind of a bright foreshadow, and I was like,
Yeah.
"Oh, this guy is 100% coming back." But I remember reading this and being like, "I need more of them on a page." Because there's something
Mhm.
about their dynamics that I was like, "I am so here for this." Like, even if it was completely platonic the whole time, I was like, "I'm here for
Yes.
that friendship."
They could've been a
And
great platonic pair, honestly.
yeah.
Like, actually.
Because they have a lot of, like, Aelin Dorian vibes as well. Like,
Yes.
just that, like, I love you
And
vibe.
Sam was like, "Okay, I originally planned Aelin and Dorian together, let's try again."
Mhm.
And then she wrote this. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
And not that
there's
they
just too
necessarily, I
much
mean,
going on.
he gives off Dorian vibes for sure. I don't know that she gives off Aelin vibes, but, like, that kind of, like, the friendship that they have throughout that series
Mhm,
where there's, like, just levels and levels of, like, the shit, like, trauma bonding, things they go through, leaning on each other, and that, like, the lines where Dorian is like, "You can't choose what parts of her to love." Just that,
mhm.
like, unabashed, like, "That's who she is. That's what you get." Like, that's what,
Yep.
and that's, I think, one of the lessons that Tamlin never learns, right? Tamlin, you are Kale. You don't get to choose the parts of her that you love.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that's
in
why,
Feyre's case, it's kinda like it's not even her. It's not even a
yeah, well,
part of her. It's like he wants
that's
her
fair.
to be something else.
He wants her to be human and reliant upon him.
Yeah. Yucky. Um, and I do think it's interesting also that, within the, like, keep him on the line kind of stuff, Did you see the homework today? I'm just kidding.
Yeah, right?
That's, like, very,
I
like
can I
but
can I
she
can help you study. It's like, I've already done the homework. I can tutor you.
yeah, you look like you need some tutoring.
Yeah. I know you
Or
have a
better
higher
yet, you
grade in
teach
me.
me.
Yeah, right? Mhm.
But, like, so she says, "What do you want?" And that doesn't have the bite that she wanted it to have because she's like, "I can't help myself." Then he says, "I just wanted to say goodbye."
But hold on. But the reason why it doesn't have the bite is because she remembers what he did.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
not because she's broken, it's because she knows that he fought for her, that he
Mhm.
tried. She's like, "I can't even be mad at this guy because he was
He
there. He
he
tried,
did.
he had my back."
Yeah, and to be fair, in that scene, Tamlin is also trying. He's just, like, bleeding
Sure.
out, so,
Sure. Yeah.
fair. But, yeah, he's fought. Notice that she also says again and again. She just respects his
Yeah.
trying even when it's useless, which could
Mhm.
also be interpreted as a slight against Tamlin.
Yeah.
But, he's like, "I just wanna say goodbye," and then he's like, "You're gonna be gone forever." She says, "Not forever." He says, "How could I forget?" And then she is like she starts with, like, I guess, a casual question that gets pretty somewhat deep, but then
Yeah.
she's like she's the one turning it towards intimacy. Like, when
Yeah.
she's asking why is, like, you know, is gonna have a deep, complex answer,
Yeah.
and I read it it reads as just, like, curiosity, like, I gotta know what your fucking deal is.
Mhm.
Um, but I just noticed that, like, Tamlin, she's like, "Let's not talk about this," and she's the one steering it towards intimacy. I think
Yeah.
Reese wouldn't have pressed it.
Yeah.
She's the one being
She's the
like,
one
"Let's be
instigating
intimate."
the deep, that, yeah.
Yes.
She
Um,
wants real and she wants a real answer from him in ways that she will not give real answers to Tamlin. She doesn't even want to talk about it. She doesn't even want to bridge the conversation.
yeah.
And she's the
Yeah.
one who's asking Resand, "Why? Why all of it?"
Yeah. And
And he just
she
immediately knows what she means. He can read her just as well as she can read him. He knows what she's talking about.
yeah. Yeah. And he also, we have to give a slight moment to the evil Reese, theories. "I want my future offspring." He was thinking about his offspring the whole time. Anyway, we're not.
I mean, we all
It's just
are.
how people talk. I've seen people analyze that line as he had it planned all along. Anyway, I hate that theory. I hate that theory. Um, but yeah,
But
so
that's
she.
okay, but so when men want children, they're evil?
That's why I hate that theory. It's so silly.
And when men wanna leave a legacy, who the fuck do you think they're leaving a legacy for? The next
Yeah.
generation anyways, okay. Yep. Evil Rhys wants babies. My meh.
But I do think that it's interesting, and I kind of I had some moments because I've always been like, "What the fuck is up with the blue fairy line? What is that? Is it just like we need to have a moment where Tamlin and Feyre are like, you're real people, and
Yeah.
is it just a device to get them to be closer and to work together as a team on something?" It feels like a big moment early in the book. It's one of her first things with magic. It's a removing of the wings. It's to show Amarantha. I've always thought that that scene was interestingly not both felt huge and also not really as much of the series, but here it's referenced. I mean, I thought immediately when he says, "I didn't want you to fight alone or die alone," I immediately thought that, but then she thinks it too, and one part of me was like, "Is that because he put that?" No, no. Anyway,
No. What I think it is that
yeah,
when the blue fairy comes and she does what she does, Tamlin is flabbergasted by it. Tamlin is like, "Why would you do that?" Even Lucian is like, "Why would you do that for one of us?" They don't
mhm,
get it.
yeah,
Rhys gets it because Rhys is
yes,
now in a position where there is this other being who he is not supposed to have any sort of pity or camaraderie with. And he does the exact same thing that she did for that Fae who she has to know from fucking Adam or whatever, and is
yeah,
not even of her species, and she can be compassionate for him. And here he is, there's like they're of the same ilk. That
yeah,
in the ways that Tamlin can't even understand what compassion is and why she would have any of it for their kind, Rhys is like, I didn't want you to die alone.
yeah,
And she's like, "Oh
yeah.
yeah, I get that." Like they're cut
She's
from the same
immediately
cloth.
sympathetic with him. She immediately relates to him, and she's
And
sympathetic before
and
he says that.
if he were the one, if he was the one that was there with her when she did that with the blue fairy, I don't think he would have asked her why. I think he would have just known. He would have been like, "Thank you for that. That was a kindness." And she'd been like, "Well, yeah, of course." He's like, "Well, yes, of course, but still, thank you." Like, or he would have said something like, "You didn't want him to die alone, did you?" And she'd be like, "No, I didn't." Like, he would have just gotten it. Where
Mhm.
Tamlin's just like, "Whoa, why would you do something nice?"
Yeah, yeah. And it's
And
kind of
again,
interesting, actually.
sorry for your Tam stands, but I'm here to shit on him.
We are anti-Tam stands. Um, yeah. I will also say she pushes for intimacy. He grants it immediately. He gives her this whole
Mhm.
spiel about his legacy. Then she tears up. She's immediately sympathetic with him, immediately resonating with him. That's because she's tearing up. And then he presses it even further. Like, at a moment where Tamlin tears probably would make Tamlin like jerk away or
Mhm.
not follow her to the toilet where she's throwing up. Like, Tamlin kind of pulls back from intimacy. He presses it further and gives her more intimacy as
And
well. And
and
that's
makes it
when that
about
moment is.
her. He doesn't like the first one is about him,
Yeah.
right? He's like, because
Yeah.
I don't want to be remembered. I want to be remembered as somebody who fought, who stood against her.
Yeah.
And then she tears up, and then he gives her, and because I didn't want you to fight alone, or for you to like, he's already thinking about her in ways that Tamlin is like, hold on, I got to go have a High Lord meeting. Hold on,
Yeah.
let me eat your snatch real quick. I'm done waiting.
Yeah.
And you know it's quick because Tamlin ain't
He
got the
has
emotional
not.
fucking bandwidth to figure out if she's come or not. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm such a dick.
This is such that term is crazy. I mean, I've heard it before, but it's just like
Oh,
it just caught me off guard. But okay, here's the other thing is that again, I just am on my symbolism type shit. She like tells this blue fairy, she like
she tells him he'll
is
get his wings
powerless
back.
to help him. Like, she
Mhm.
cannot help him. No way, no how. But she tells him that he's gonna be fine and that
Mhm.
he's gonna be with she's
Yeah, he's gonna
like,
get his wings back. You'll get them back. You'll be fine.
yeah.
Mhm.
Um, No, what I was actually thinking of, is that as a human, Feyre is just feels so bad that this person is being tortured and is like suffering so much, and she like kind of lies to him or is like kind of willing this thing like you're gonna be fine, it's gonna be okay, and it's like there's something about the way that she lies to him as a form of comfort that and it's always struck me as interesting because it's like she can't do anything, she's so powerless. And I've also there's something interesting about watching Rhys just try to go up against Amarantha and just be hit that wall again and again. Like
Mhm.
my mind was sort of connecting or thinking back to like because of that blue fairy scene, it's like Rhys also was kind of like lying to himself. Like, he sort of tugged that bond out of willpower, but
Yeah.
like typically like him fighting for her should have been a lie. And it just happened that it wasn't.
Mhm.
Well, because of the maple and whatever. Um, but there is just something really interesting to me about I don't know. I've always wondered about like that lie is such an interesting like I mean, I guess you want to lie to someone who's dying so they can rest.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, but there's something about the futility of those that was maybe it's nothing, but that's what my brain loves to grab onto. But yeah, absolutely. That line too is really an interesting, hold my hand until the end. And a while after that, I will say she dies, and Reese is holding her mental hand in a way,
Yeah.
and because he's holding her brain or being or something. Tamlin's actually like not holding. No one's holding her hand. She's lying alone on the floor,
Yeah.
um, which is interesting with that line in perspective. Um, sorry.
Um, this conversation about his wings are really interesting.
Yes. Are you gonna fly home?
Mhm.
That's the did you get the homework? Let's
Yeah.
talk about something. Let's keep talking good.
Right.
And
Unfortunately, it would take longer than I can afford. Another day I'll taste the skies, which is also a very witchy Manon way of talking about flying, tasting the skies.
she says that?
Yeah.
Oh. Oh. I mean, I believe
Um,
it.
glancing at the wings tucked into his powerful body, and my voice was hoarse as I spoke. You never told me you loved the wings or the flying. No, he'd made the shape shifting seem base, useless, boring. He shrugged. Everything I love has always had a tendency to be taken from me. I tell very few about my wings or the flying.
Mhm.
Yeah, she knows all these things already.
She can
He's al-
sense
he's
it.
let he's letting her into his inner circle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
And I'm surprised it doesn't strike her as interesting that he's like, "I'll let you see this." That's what I would
yeah,
have said. If I'm at Pharaoh, I'm like, "How come you're showing me?
yeah.
Why you show me this?" Like,
Well, that or this bond feels natural to them,
yeah,
right?
that's
That
probably
this
true.
like this level of like there's a trust there that is a natural trust. Like, and maybe she's like, well, who would I fucking tell anyways that can use it against him? Like Amaranth is dead. And you're like, okay, think bigger, babe, because there's always going to be someone else. But
Mhm.
like, he doesn't even think that that's a possibility either. Like, he does a little bit with Valaris, right? He like hides Valaris from her for a little while. I think for the first visit, maybe the second visit.
I think yeah,
Um,
it's the second, first and second visits.
Yeah. And that makes sense because it's not just him, right? Like those are other people at stake and he's already
Mhm.
given 50 years for them. So of course he's going to shield them. But like with himself, he's open to her.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
she could go to Tamlin and be like, "Did you know that Reese can fly?" And he'd be like, "What the fuck?" And then
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I would assume that Tamlin knows because his dad took his mom and sister's wings, but maybe not.
Yeah. 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 I will also say there's something interesting about this, and again, because I'm looking for parallels, I'm looking for things, I'm being hella extra. Some color had already come into that moon white face, and I wondered whether he might have once been tan before Amarantha had kept him below ground for so long. A High Lord who loved to fly, trapped under a mountain. Shadows not of his own making still haunted those violet eyes, and I wondered if they would ever fade. A bunch of things, but it's almost like his moon white face, like we talked last week or 2 weeks ago, what so at some point we talked about how that is both good, more fitting with his night power because it's like night imagery with his skin, and we sort of speculated on like, well, maybe this night power, like it's doing something as a sacred mountain, like maybe there's something at play there. But at the very least, just it's heavily contrasted. But we know that he's tan the rest of the time. It's like talked what golden skin
Mhm.
is how he's described the rest of the time.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of in a way he's also wearing this like mask of this like or like a
Yeah.
mask of sorts because he's not how he appears in the
Mhm.
rest of the series. He's never looks like this ever again.
Yeah.
And there's something that was interesting about that, but then also, she sees right away that they are connected, that they have the same kind of grief. And,
Mhm.
her thing is that she hates being trapped. That's what's going to piss her
Yeah.
off the most, the worst
Yeah.
in Mist and Fury. And she's noticing that in him. And then, the shadows, not of his own making, still haunted those violet eyes. She like sees the suffering and the pain
Mhm.
immediately
And
and
she
is
sees
like
right
sympathetic to it.
into she see and like with the trapped thing, like she sympathizes with him immediately, like a high lord who loves to fly is trapped under a mountain. Like, God, this must like of all the
Mhm.
things that he was tortured with, it's just enough like that. That's another torture.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's interesting that he also asked about her, like, how does it feel to be a high fae? Um,
Also, hold on. He also shows the shadows in his eyes that are hot. Like like,
allows
because
her to see them.
right, because, like, it's always like, oh, he has his swagger, he puts his hands in his pockets, he leans, he's got his stone face, he's got his stoic like, when they're in the Court of Nightmares, he, like, puts on the facade or whatever. There's no
Mhm.
facade here. She's seeing right into his eyes and being like, "Wow, he's fucking haunted too." Like, he's letting all like, he's just being himself.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Um, I just thought it's like no one really asks her how she feels.
Yeah.
He's kind
Yeah.
of the first person to check on her, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
I mean, Tamlin is like checking out her physical body, which actually is a great contrast too. Tamlin's like, let me get your physical skin, bone needs taken care of, your safety, and then let me fuck you.
Mhm.
All physical, just different
Mhm.
levels of physicality. And Rhys is immediately
Yep.
like, just want to
What's
say
it feel like to
bye,
be high
little
fae?
mental health checkup, and how are you
Yeah, right?
and what's going on? It's like they're just already in their own.
And he's a little bit he's handling her a little bit with kid gloves, but also not, right? Like Tamlin is all like, put the walls up, make sure that she's just happy. Just keep her happy and keep her inside. We're like, Rhys is like, I'm gonna ask the question, but I'll be kind like I'm a little like I'm curious, but it's
Mhm.
when he's like, how does it feel to be high fae? Like it says, right, he asked a quiet, curious question. Like he is curious, but it's also kind of like, so what's it like to be high fae? Like he's poking it. He's trying to get her
Mhm.
to talk a little bit, but he's being like gentle about it,
Yes.
right? Like she could have been like,
Yeah.
it's weird, and he would have let it go. But
Yeah. But
that's not how she answers at all.
she says, "Hey, let's do intimacy." Um,
And then she considers, right? With
yeah.
Tamlin, the second he says it, she goes, I can't talk about it. Not right now. Later, later, later. But when
Yeah.
he asks this question, she pauses and she considers it. She thinks about it. She lets her
Yeah.
body feel this moment.
Yeah. And she even wonders, like, maybe it's because no one else was out to hear, and her two wonder her two she's like, this is weird that I'm about to talk to him about this, and her two reasons are maybe because no one else is around, um, aka we are alone. It's safe here with Resand, just
Uh-huh.
us two, and then also, or maybe because the shadows in his eyes would also forever be in mine.
Mhm.
Very like one of those really telling
Yeah.
moments. I'm surprised nobody talks about this because that both reads as like we got the same depression, but also like we have the same this we're the eyes of the wind of the soul. We're connected at the soul. Like it's
Yeah.
very classic mate line. Yeah.
Well,
Uh,
and then this mortal part of her dying, right? We've talked about the drop at
mhm.
length, but like I look down at my hands, or sorry, I am immortal who has been mortal. This body. I look down at my hands so clean and shining, a mockery of what I'd done. This body is different, but this, I put my hand on my chest, my heart. This is still human. Maybe it will always be, but it would have been easier to live with it. My throat welled. Easier to live with what I did if my heart had changed too. Maybe I wouldn't care so much. Maybe I could convince myself their deaths were in vain. Maybe immortality will take that away. I can't tell whether I want it to.
Mm-hmm.
And then Rhysand says, "Be glad of your human heart, Feyre. Pity those who don't feel anything at all." And I thought that this was interesting because not only does it add to this drop theory that, her mortal body dies and she, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
but her heart is human. So she's Fey, in a Fey body with a human heart. And Aelin talks about being stuck in a mortal body with a Fey heart.
Mm. That's interesting. Also, because Bryce is half human, half fae.
Yep.
So it's like Aelin is one, Feyre is the other, Bryce is in between them.
Mm-hmm.
That
Mm-hmm.
is interesting.
Yeah.
Um, and also,
But that their hearts are, that they don't necessarily match their exterior, right?
yeah,
That
they're misfits. Yeah.
and they will at some point, right? Like Feyre finds her heart, and Aelin becomes all Fey and can't shift anymore, and so her outside matches her inside and all the things. But
Mm-hmm.
there is something about like what I hold close to me is my humanity, what is kind of taken from me, right? Because I was killed, and my
Mm-hmm.
connection to my heritage. And it's the same thing for Aelin. It's just a different lineage and heritage and past, right? It's her Fey
Mm-hmm.
past, it's her Fey lineage, her Fey heritage, the things that were taken from her by the King of Aderlin when he destroyed Terrasen and killed her parents, right? Like she has a Fey heart. That's where her heart lies, is with her lineage, just like Feyre's lies with hers, allegedly, for now.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, but also, this is the first moment she says the crux of the next book. This is the very first time she ever says it, which as we've talked about this whole
About
time,
her heart,
it's
having a mortal
or
heart.
you just or no, just like the fact um that she's having a hard time living with it.
Yeah.
And she's like
Yeah.
letting him see her cry and be very upset. Um and he kind of like is like, hey, this is it's sort of, I don't know if it's validating, but it's like it's good that you're feeling
Yeah.
feeling things, or I don't know.
Well, and it is a kindness to say, like,
Mhm.
again, this could be his lie of
Yeah.
comfort, right? Pity
Hmm.
those who don't feel at all. Amarantha didn't feel at all. She had no compassion in her.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you lose your heart. That's what happens when you lose the ability to feel.
Hmm.
Like, feel pity for those who can't feel. Feel pity for Tamlin
Hmm.
because he doesn't have that.
Yeah.
He bows to her.
Bye for now, he said, rolling his neck as if he hadn't been talking about anything important at all. He bowed at the waist. Yeah. Yeah, he does. He's already
Mhm.
knelt before her, but he
A couple
bows.
times. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, he
Um,
bows to her, those wings vanishing entirely and had begun to fade into the nearest shadow, and then he went rigid. And then this is the part that we could just fucking dissect for a million years. But his eyes locked on mine, wide and wild, and his nostrils flared. Shock, pure shock, flashed across his features at whatever he saw on my face, and he stumbled back a step. Actually stumbled. "What is?" I began. He disappeared, simply disappeared, not a shadow in sight until into crisp air. So remember when I said that when Aelin first feels the bond, she like feels Rowan?
well, yeah. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
wondering if that's part of it, right? Like that he like bows down and he comes back up and like what if he like whoop into her and like feels her and is
Yeah.
like, "Oh, fuck." Yeah. But I love that he like actually stumbles back. Like he's taken aback by this moment. That was also the moment I read that in this book, I was like, "Oh, there's so much more to this character." Like
Yeah.
I need that second book this second because I need to know what the fuck that was.
Yeah, I did go immediately out and buy the second book. Although, no, actually, I think I had bought the second book like 100 pages ago, because like when I had paused, and so then I literally didn't stop to think about it, which is crazy because now I'm like, I wonder if I was thinking anything at all about this. I was just like, but I just
Yeah.
immediately started reading the next one.
Um
So,
I knew I needed the second one right away, and it was right. Topher bought me my Kindle for
mhm.
Hanukkah that year, and so I was like, "Oh fuck!" It was the first thing I downloaded on the Kindle was the entire series.
Dang. So you just went right to it too, huh?
I just went right to it and read it all.
Yeah. And then he disappears.
Yep. So, okay, so Tamlin and I left the way I'd come through the narrow cave in the belly of the mountain. Before departing, the high fae of several courts destroyed and then sealed Amarantha's court under the mountain. Now, are we saying the court is just a physical place? Because a
I think
court is
so.
people.
Yeah, I know we call it people, but I assumed they were not sealing people inside. And
Well,
also I
destroying the
think
people and then sealing it, but
that's a yeah.
it's rough.
I don't think so. I think the
I
bad
don't either,
people
but
got away
mhm.
and well, and then they're just like yeah, I did not think it was people. I thought it was just sealing the court itself so it can be
I'm maybe not surprised because she's not of Prithian, but I'm kind of surprised. I'm wondering why there's not more of a like Amarantha did nothing wrong campaign, or if there's still like some of those sentiments of like life. Like, what if some of these, like, what if some of the Summer Fae, right? The lesser Summer Fae, they're like, fuck, things were better when she was in charge. What the shit?
I don't think anyone feels like that except for like the actual people who like, like bad things or whatever. Like,
Yeah, so that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. It's like I'm wondering if there was any at all sort of alliance within Prithian on her side, or if she'd really just like she's just full on fucking Nazi regimed it so hard that they just did what they had to do to survive.
Yeah, I think that is closer because I think Prithian definitely does not like women, you know. I think even in
There,
any society, especially ours,
that's
we
wild.
just ain't no way we're gonna do that for a woman. There's no
Hmm.
like, I'm just kidding, but like, well, no, I'm not really. But like I just don't think she could have like a MAGA base in the
Yeah,
same like because I think she's just too much of she's too much of a tyrant, she's too unstable.
yeah.
Um,
But I mean, if we're looking at historical tyranny, there are still places where even under extreme tyranny, there are still people who are like, I wish
who
that person
support.
was back. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I guess there always are some, and I would assume like it's more like the people like the Ator and those Illyrian war bands. It
yeah,
does say that Rhys was like hunting down those Illyrian war bands who were trying to stir up trouble, like because they still wanted what she was doing. So I think there's probably some. I just think like most people, if nothing else, the most cynical way of looking at it is that she took their power, and
yeah.
Faye are like, what the fuck? Like I think
It's
that
interesting though. Sorry, I cut you off. I do think that
no,
ACOTAR is the most chauvinistic and misogynistic of the series, but there's that there. Like,
yeah,
there's no women who are allowed on the King's Guard in Aderlin until Dorian comes to the and then he puts Nesrin as the fucking head of the guard because I'm like, oh my little feminist king right
mm,
there.
yeah,
And even in Crescent City, there's a lot of the like there's some undercutting of women and shit in that too, of like the lesser
yeah,
and maybe it's just Bryce being a second born and kind of like not wanted,
yeah.
but
Well, I
there's
think
still some of
there's
that there.
I'd say the most of it is in ACOTAR because of well, the Illyrians are like a whole thing, but
Yeah.
even
There's no
um
high ladies, there's no female leadership at
like
all.
more situation, there's no high
Yep.
ladies.
Yeah.
Um, not everywhere is like that, but I think it's Tamlin's a good example. Like he's not
Yeah.
like some crazy corp, but he's like, no,
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
so I don't know. But
Well, and then the ways in which women find power is through sex. I mean, Ianthe is, like she uses what she can in that world and as
Mhm.
much as she's a fucking villain and sucks, like what is there how else can she gain power if not to manipulate the men in power?
Yeah, so that's kind of why I think nobody's really supporting Amarantha unless they were fully on her side when she was here. I don't think
Yeah,
there's remnants because I think she was too much.
that's
She took
fair.
up too much power, and the Fae want their power.
Yeah.
So it may be somebody who was like, "I'm gonna let you do what you want to do, but like you're just gonna have to do X, Y, and Z, and I'm gonna give you." I'm gonna oppress these other people over here. I think if it
Yeah.
was more like they let the high fae, or yeah, if they let like an oligarchy happen where like the high lords they get their taxes and most of the oppression is happening on the
Yeah.
lower classes or lower fey. I think those people could have that's whoever did that would
Yeah.
have a following. But I think
It is
because of
interesting
her
though, like
power they all hate her.
it is interesting though that I mean, so let's say that these few the nastier fairies and the Ator are the only ones that really sided with her. It's still kind, and I get she took the High Lord's powers, and that's a big fucking power play, but it's an entire continent, most of a continent of people. They vastly outnumber her, and so it's just wild to think that the power that she that does not actually have access to, she's just
You
like
just can keep it away
trapped,
from them.
she can keep it
Yeah.
away from them, is still enough to not have to have a full-blown fucking war that her and, 6 dudes can take over this entire continent because she cast one spell to lock away the magic of the High Lords, and it's just like, "What?" Like, there was
Yeah.
no, and
It's hard to
again,
believe.
there were some places that they tried to rise up, and it was squashed very quickly, and all those sorts of things, but it's interesting, like, I just my historian brain is going too much,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I'm thinking there would be a few more uprises than
I'm
just
just
the
thinking
2
about,
or
like,
3 that they
there's
say.
couldn't we just do
Because
some,
even
Muggle solutions, if you will? Why don't we
but
just
I'm
fucking pour some fi light some shit on fire? Like, you don't need
yeah,
you could just fuck her over left and right. You could
yeah, yeah,
collapse some tunnels. Like, maybe they're so
yep.
dependent on magic that they can't collapse a tunnel without magic or something. Like, maybe that's the problem is that
I'm
they
just
have power
saying,
magic heavily.
if you had a I'm just
50
saying, if
years
you
to scheme,
yeah, but, like, I
somebody's
mean,
gotta fuck
it's
someone
like
up.
there's slave revolts all over history
Yeah.
of people who have no reason to think that they will actually ever get out free, right? You have the
It's
slave
what people
revolt of
do, is they
yeah,
rebel
you have the
against
slave
this kind of
revolt of
tyranny.
Spartacus, right? You have all these things, and the slave revolts of the United States, and granted, it didn't fucking end their slavery, but they did it, and
Mhm.
and then you have people who are blowing up crematoriums in the concentration camps in World War II, right? They're not out to try to save their lives. They're just trying to destroy the mechanisms of evil. It's like, why are
Yeah.
people not blowing some of her shit up? Or trying to fuck up the mechanisms of her evil, and trying to
Yeah.
put like cogs in her in her wheel a little bit. And again, we know, like, oh, there were a couple of revolts and they were put down very quickly, and she's willing to kill the young, and that's all scary and stuff. But it's
And
just
maybe
interesting to find out, and like maybe it's just a simple answer of like, well, they're not human. That's a human trait, right? Humans continuously will,
mhm.
whatever, but
I think that is a cop out,
so do
if she
I.
were to try to reason, have that be a
Yeah.
thing, only because not to get too like, but we write for human readers, so I
Yeah.
feel like you can't truly write things that don't have human motives,
Yeah.
and that's I'm sorry. You mean maybe some experimental shit could, but,
Yeah.
like, the it just is not a thing,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because
Anyway,
there's
but
even, I mean, there's even revolts in the, in the camps in Aderlin, right? Like
yeah.
when Nehemia dies, they fucking revolt like crazy, right? There's
Yeah, or there's,
constant
like there's
rebels.
black markets,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah,
so
and so
many ways that
it just
people
seems
undercut
weird that, and
systems.
like maybe because the narrator doesn't have knowledge of those things, but it is just
Yeah.
weird that like in the aftermath of this, we don't see a little bit more of that coming to light. Like, oh, they were a part of a rebel group, or oh, this destruction was actually because of a rebellion, or like she had her, she was going to have to go to Highburn because we were all like she was fighting us from the inside. Like there's just it I feel like it
Yeah.
just kind of it's a little too tidy of a like this person comes and she takes 7 people's powers and that makes her all powerful even though she doesn't have access to it, and everybody just falls to her whim, and you're like,
Mhm.
that's okay.
It is
And
hard
again,
to
and
believe,
it could
yeah.
also be just like the length of their lifetime, right? 50 years, maybe they needed more time, right? 50 years for an
That was,
immortal
like,
is
2 weeks
5
to them.
years. Yeah, it's like, so like what is 5 years of a human life, or 2 years of a human life, right? Maybe you'll just keep your head down. It's only 2 years, like you'll get through it, kind of
Yeah.
a thing. And like they weren't really pushed. Like if it was 100 years, 150 years, maybe they'd start pushing. Um
Mm.
but yeah, I don't know. It's a little tidy.
It did say that the Daglin oppressed them for thousands of years, and I'm like, that also kinda makes my brain go, "What?"
Yeah.
But I think one possible option is that, the High Lords are kinda like billionaires.
Yeah.
It could just be like a commentary. I mean, this could be interesting this way. Like they didn't go against her because as part of this system that benefits off of compliance and complicity and not rocking the boat too much in their
Yeah.
oligarchic structure.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, well, we'll get her one of these days, but maybe they're
I mean,
kind of used to just
yeah.
submitting to what keeps them in their
Yeah.
positions. Like
Well,
maybe
and
if
they're
she'd
like,
stripped them of their titles and killed their whole or like done something more extreme to the High Lords instead of like,
yeah.
maybe they would have gone more, but
Well, and
I
then
don't
like
know.
maybe for the everyday person, they're like, who cares who's involved? I'm still getting my Amazon packages. Like, you know,
Yeah,
life is
they're still getting
oppressive
their
under,
treats. I
like,
don't
it
think they're
doesn't
getting their
matter.
treats. I think they're
Yeah, or they're just
oppressed
kind
still.
of like, it doesn't really matter what regime, because I'm just trying to fucking live my life, and so long as I'm putting food on the table for my kids, then yeah, whatever. I can't do anything about it. What's one high lord to another?
It does say in Miss and Fury that there was. It seems like it was more all encompassing across the land, but then it just begs more of the question: why weren't there more revolts? And maybe there were, and she just like kept them locked. She was like
Yeah.
sending people out to do it all the time, and she was just not saying shit because she wanted to seem powerful. I can see that too.
But then
Like
is Rhysand ever sent out to squash any of these?
definitely not. Maybe I don't know. I don't
Yeah, I
think
don't
so.
know.
I think she doesn't let him out very often,
It
but
would be interesting if we found out that, like, that Rhysand was doing a little bit of, like,
that's what I
what
expect of Rhysand.
well,
Absolutely.
of what, yeah, of what Adian was doing, where, like, Adian
Yes.
is also called the Whore of Aderlin, right? He's called
Oh,
Aderlin's whore, yes.
I thought he was called the
And he
Wolf of Adder
well,
or
he's
he's
called
also
that
called
too, but he's
that.
also called Aderlin's whore. And,
Mm,
he's like, oh, I'm putting down all of these rebels, but he's not. He's like, he's kind of sidestepping and getting them to safer places, and he's working the inner mechanisms, and he's doing
mhm.
what he can to undercut the king at any chance and keep his people alive. And you
Yeah.
would think that you would hear some of that with Rhysand, where he's like, yeah, she sent me to squash rebellions all the time, and I just sent them to the other continent. Or I, or I told them to stop and do it this way, you know,
Mhm.
or I was kind and erased the motive from their minds, and I put compliance in there, but I didn't kill them, or something, anything. But no, we don't get that.
Yeah. We do not. Um,
Anyways, that was a
uh,
really long conversation.
well, when you start to get to
About,
talk about power, we got lots
yeah,
in the tank.
yeah, we
Um,
do.
uh,
We have
but
too much knowledge of the workings of power.
well, that's all that anyone thinks about right now. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and I'm a historian, so, like, I can
Yep.
I can I can dive I can dive into tyrants and talk about those things. Um so yeah, so her court is sealed.
There is something sort of interesting about saying Tamlin and I left the way I'd come in. Because I don't know, Tamlin and her relationship is that staleness and it like sort of this at the end of the book you're supposed to have a moment, an arc.
Mhm.
And I left the way I came in, Tamlin too.
Yeah.
There's something just resonant about that.
It's a little anticlimactic.
Yeah, this whole
Yeah.
chapter kind of feels a little anticlimactic. And I do respect that it's like because what has happened is she killed two people in cold
Yeah.
blood. So I get that that's speaking to that, but it's not a typical classic last chapter.
Mhm.
Um
They're burning her body because that's how you destroy a Valg. I mean, what?
where?
I'd heard I still didn't have the words to ask what they'd done to those two fairies. Maybe someday, maybe soon, I would ask who they were, what their names had been. Amarantha's body, I heard, had been hauled off to be burned, though Jurian's bone and eye were somehow missing.
She doesn't mention Claire either, but I'm
And
sure she's fine.
then, and then, as much as I wanted to hate her, as much as I wished I could have spat on her burning body, I understood what had driven her. A very small part of her, but I understood it.
Okay, I
That's
missed that line when I read this.
It's a little scary though, because, like, if end of books come back to beginning of books, but again, we've talked about how, like, that could be right. If one of her sisters dies and she doesn't become like Amarantha, then that could be that full circle 180 whatever bullshit, where, like, she has all the ability to be Amarantha and she chooses not to be. But there's a sympathy that she has, a small part, but
Yeah,
there
why
is a
is she mentioning that now though? That's a weird place to mention that.
yeah,
Because,
I don't
like,
know.
we're talking about her being dead. We're
Yeah.
mentioning Jurian, so I guess maybe that's why. But that actually does not seem
Or we're just supposed to be thinking about like, oh, look how compassionate she is. Look how much she can empathize even with her enemy. Blah blah blah. But like, it's a weird thing to say.
If I'm SJM's editor, I'm saying, what are you doing? This is the last scene. Cut that. What is that? Unless you have a specific reason for that shit, take it out.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping there's a specific reason for that because that's a weird line, and
Well,
it's
because she's
kind
gonna
of
be
very
her
distracting.
because her and Rhysand are gonna be big baddies and become the High King and Queen of Prithian and be tyrants.
Yes, the
And
entire
she's
arc of the
gonna
series is a tragic
mhm.
arc where
and
she
she's gonna
grows
put
more and more understanding of Amarantha.
yeah, and she's gonna put Cassian and Moore's eyeballs into rings. Oh, that's rough. Um,
Yeah,
Also, do you
that's
notice that
crazy.
she says right away, "Our lands"?
She said, "I'm a high lady. This is me. I
Uh-huh.
it belongs to me." Um, right before that, I will say, Tamlin gripped my hand. It's just not nice language to talk about your
Yeah.
lover. Gripped
Yeah.
my hand. Like,
Yeah.
it's not, Tamlin,
Took
I
my
don't know.
hand
There's something about
or,
it.
embraced my hand or,
Mhm.
hand in hand with the one I love, we walked.
Yes,
Yep,
there's
nope.
so many nice ways to say it instead of
Yes,
gripped.
right.
Um, that's kind of nice. And then we see the glimmer of sunlight. Oh, the other thing is that I thought it was interesting the reason I was reading those is because we get Tamlin, what he offers her as they go through the darkness is a hand, a physical hand, and
Mhm.
silence.
Yep.
Neither of us talk as we see the sunlight. They cannot even have the tiniest shred of
Nope.
intimacy. You
Nope.
know? Like, I mean, it's
Even
if anything, just
even
turn
in
and
the
be like, "Oh
dark,
my god."
even when they can't see each other, they can't have intimacy.
Yeah.
Even when she doesn't have to look into his beautiful, beautiful green
Green eyes.
ash river eyes.
Yeah, and
Yep.
so I was just like, that's so classic. Like he's just, let's hold hands and have physical touch and be silent together. Um,
They don't say anything
yeah.
to like the only thing that she says at the very end is let's go home. He doesn't say shit to her this entire time.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's funny. I mean, they do laugh together, I guess. Somewhere in here they laugh together. He doesn't laugh with her.
Nope. She
They hear.
smiles and he stands there holding her arm still. And then we get the laughter. That is one thing I do find really interesting is that when she comes out of this, when she goes back home, she hears laughter, and that's the first thing that Lucian notices when he goes to Valaris, that there's children's laughter.
It's one of the things she notices too. I think
Hmm.
when she hears it, and she's like, "What the
Well, yeah,
fuck?"
when
So.
kids feel free to play, it's safe ish.
Mhm.
Kids will play regardless, but yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, very much like the theme of home is huge in this series, and so it's definitely one of those moments. Um, but yeah,
This
the childish
this
laughter.
this last bit though, I stepped out of Tamlin's arms and kissed him softly. Tomorrow. There would be a tomorrow and an eternity to face what I had done, to face what shredded into pieces inside myself while under the mountain. But for now, for today, let's go home, I said and took his hand. It feels very the end of Throne of Glass where she says, tell me tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, it felt very end of Throne of Glass, the tell me tomorrow.
yeah, absolutely. It also feels very like I'm setting up the fact that I'm gonna run away from my problems all of the next book. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's a weird thing. It's a weird thing for the end of the book to be. I don't want to think about it.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it still does have a tone of like, hey, we don't have to solve all
But
the problems at once.
as
There is some kind of niceness there.
but with the like tell me tomorrow vibe, it's a different vibe between those two because the tell me tomorrow vibe feels earned for Selena, right?
Hmm.
She wins, she does all the things, there's still a bunch to do and like she's just like tell me tomorrow. I'm good right here with my people, feeling safe, feeling accomplished, and I'm here with the people that I care for, right? She's with Kale and Dorian or one of them or both of them or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And it feels kind of a like yeah, yes, queen, you take a nap.
Yeah,
This does not feel like this. This feels like avoidance, right?
yeah,
Selena's is not. I keep saying it like I'm spoiling something with the Selena Aelin thing, but like Selena is not like, oh God, what am I gonna do? She's just like, please God, just let me have a day. I just need a day to just chill. I just want to hang out with my besties and do what besties do. I want to pet my dog, and I want to shit talk with Nehemia, and I want to eat some fucking chocolate, and I want to look at some pretty boys. That's what we're doing today. Tell me tomorrow. This
Yeah.
Feyre is like, fuck yeah, there's gonna be tomorrows for forever. Well,
Yeah,
let's
she's
just go
not
home,
excited.
please. Like, I just want to go. Like, she's running. Yes, she's running towards Tamlin. She's running towards Springport, but she's also still just kind of running
Yeah.
away.
Yeah.
And he's just like, okay.
I was like, the last word of Kingdom of Ash is also, the last line is like, tell me tomorrow or something, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Which is very
But it's always
interesting.
earned. It's always the
Yeah.
like, yes, queen, go take a nap, go take a bath, go bangarang with your hawk boy. Like, yeah, you earned it. This just feels like avoidance where she's like,
Mm-hmm.
fuck me, I've got to deal with this for forever.
Yeah. And although, another way you could sort of read this is in terms of like, right, first book in the series, we got a long series, it's not finished yet. I'm always going to be like, is this how the last book ends? Is she going to turn to Rhys and say, let's go home? In a way, maybe Tamlin, maybe, Feyre has gone home. She's with Rhys. She has her home. Her like bookend. Her series is over. But this is ending the last book with grabbing Tamlin's hand and saying, "Let's go home." So maybe Tamlin's gonna go home by the end of the series, and it's like, not. I mean, it could also just be like that. I think the overall series theme is home. Like Ness and Elaine, they feel out of place. They feel lost. They feel like that's a lot of their problems too. Feyre feels like she's hunting to like do something for her home. She's sacrificing for her home, her family. So like it's very much a huge theme of the series, but I can't help but wonder, like what does this point to? Maybe it doesn't point to Tamlin. It could just be like
Mm-hmm.
Rhys is my home, like our world walking theory with that maybe the last book she's gonna go home by following her world walking bond back to Rhys. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but there's just a lot of interesting sort of things that could be paralleled here.
I know that we all suspect that the next book is going to be about Elaine, but what if we get a 3-book Nesta and a
A
3-book
three-book
Elaine?
Nesta? What do you mean?
Well, because the first 3 books are really Feyre's story, right?
Uh
And then we
huh.
have this interlude moment. And then we're like, oh, then we have a Nesta, and then the next one will be the next sister. What if it's not? What if her 7-book deal is like, there's going to be 2 more Nesta books, another interlude, and then three Elaine books.
I think that's not. I think she's confirmed that it's Elaine, but I
Okay.
think having like 9 books,
I mean, I know their
three for
series
each
is,
sister, would be
yeah,
crazy.
that's crazy. Yeah. Do you think we're
And
gonna get
Nestas feel way
another? Do you
more.
think we're gonna get another novella?
Maybe
I
novellas are
think
kind of popular.
I can feel. I can see the novella being like the final book is the novella.
That's
Like
crazy.
after all of it, that we get the 10 years later of all of them novella,
Okay,
where
so
they
more like an
all,
extended epilogue type deal.
yeah,
Although it could be like 50 years later, not like 10 because they're in the
yeah, yeah,
middle.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
200 years later. Nyx has
Right?
graduated high school.
Yeah.
No joke.
Uh-huh.
Whatever.
Yeah, that
Uh,
Nyx is married
Nyx, the
one of
college years.
yeah, yeah, and then yeah, right. He's playing Sunball in Crescent City, and
No!
he's engaged to a Galthinius. He's
Oh,
engaged to a
Lord.
Whitethorn.
So messy.
Right.
Nyx, Whitethorn. Yeah. Wow.
It feels so good to finish the first book, mostly because I'm so fucking excited for the next one.
Dude.
I'm so excited.
So, we're going to do prologue in chapter 1, right? So, we're
Yes.
not doing. Okay. And
Is
then.
oh yeah, because prologue is the war, right? It's Rhysand's POV.
No, I think that's Akawar.
Got it.
Um, it's Feyre having a nightmare,
Ah,
and then chapter 1 is her barfing, and
nice.
then it's very short. Yeah, actually, it's just literally her having a nightmare. The prologue and the first chapter is just a nightmare, and
Okay.
then the second chapter begins with her saying she wants to go, and he's like, "You got to be safe."
Yeah.
And there's a lot of stuff in that chapter. Oh, I have a lot of notes. Oh,
Yay! I'm so excited.
The second chapter ends with them arguing. They argue in the second chapter. Chapter 2 is gonna be fun.
The honeymoon stage is over.
It over
So fast.
Yeah, that is interesting. But
I don't really get a
so
honeymoon phase. Their honeymoon phase is under the mountain.
yeah, we just talked through
Yikes!
all of that. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Okay, so next episode we're gonna talk barf. We are talking barf. We're talking toilets. We're talking sleeping beast form men. Okay, and
Hot, so fucking hot. So that is ACOTAR, and we will be moving on to book 2 next week. So to the stars who listen, we will see you next time.
see you next time.
So exciting.